What's up, fantasy fans? As always, I'm Shay from the channel Zachary Shay, and today I'm going to be bringing you an April wrap-up / ranking, a May TBR, and just kind of a rundown of what I've been working on and my future release schedule for the channel. It's something I've never been concrete on, but I kind of want to change that this month. So first, I'm going to go over what I read last month. It's going to be first, and then I'm going to discuss why reading will be slower in May, and then I'll be discussing what I'll be reading in May. And part of explaining why the reading will be slower in May, I will be talking about briefly touching on some personal stuff and some projects that are book related, but that will be between my ranking and prior to my TBR. But first off, on my wrap up, what I have to say is this month's lowest book is almost higher than most of the books from last month. Like, not a single book this month was below a 4.5. Every single book I read this month absolutely brought its A game. The lowest ranked book sits at a 4.5, and even then I feel like it's like closer to a 4.6. But anyway, there's got to be a cutoff point, and at 4.5 I have The Lesser Devil by Christopher Rocchio. I thought this book was phenomenal. I had suspicions in book one that Crispin wasn't as dumb as Hadrian thought him to be. I thought he had a more nuanced arc that we just weren't privy to because if you're not familiar, all the Sun Eater books are from the point of view of Hadrian Marlowe, and then there's a lot of short fiction that follows other characters in the world, and this one follows Hadrian Marlowe's younger brother, Crispin. I thought Crispin's journey in this story was great. I thought for a novella, Christopher Rocchio, he makes some of the best novellas. This is a 4.5. It's a great month when Rocchio is at the bottom. You just know, like, every single book here is on its A game. So don't judge the books that are lower against the ones that are higher, because every single author I'm going to cover in this video I think is of a very high caliber. And anyway, so after Crispin's story, next up in the ranking, it's going to be From Cold Ashes Risen by Rob J. Hayes. Now, what can I say about The War Eternal that I haven't said already? I think it is so good. I will probably give this a new dedicated video, because the last time I made a video on this wasn't really where I wasn't at my current quality of video output and video editing. But we follow the story of Ascara Helsine, the Corpse Queen, and it really does feel to me like the world of Malazan, but obviously original. I'm just saying it has similar vibes as the world of Malazan, but it's actually way more akin to Sun Eater. I don't think Rob J. Hayes is quite as sharp on his pen as Christopher Rocchio, but Rob J. Hayes, he's up there for sure. He has amazing prose. I don't think they're quite as good as Rocchio, but when I say that this is the closest you will find to Sun Eater's writing style type of first person, if you like the first person POV of Sun Eater, this is the closest to it. The one that always seems recollecting, it always feels she's constantly, Ascara Helsine in her first person narration is constantly referencing people that are alive today, things that happen later in the story. She's constantly spoiling aspects of the story, and you're still so engrossed, much like Sun Eater. So yeah, I thought that this was great. I gave it a 4.5, almost a 4.75 area, mainly because I thought The Lessons Never Learned, book 2, was a little bit better than this one. That one was a 5 stars, and this one is just slightly below that. There was some pacing stuff that I didn't necessarily agree with, but when I tell you that the character of Ascara Helsine is just as good as She is in this book. She is just as good as she is in every other book in the series. Book 1, Along the Razor's Edge, was phenomenal. Lessons Never Learned was even better. And, I still think Lessons Never Learned is the best in the series so far, but this is not like, I don't want people to think that book 3 fumbles in any way from what book 2 does. It is just as good. It's just, as a reviewer, I have to look at it and really judge what the story did. And I think book 2 just slightly edges out, but I absolutely loved this third book in the War Eternal series by Rob J. Hayes. So these next two I had to really think about which went first, but my fourth favorite book of the month and one of my favorite books of the year, but it was a stacked month. You'll see when you see the top 3 why, but man, I am so proud of my friend because Mercy, Tears of the Fallen was an absolute powerhouse of a book. He shared my quote a few times where I said best debut of the year, and I still stand by that. I haven't read a debut that I was as impressed by so far this year. The year is still young, but I know that this will go down as one of the best debuts of the year, and probably the best, unless somebody brings out something insane. But when I tell you that this story was so ambitious, there was a clear vision behind it. I thought the characters of Eravane, Alavist, Dulo, I thought Salasmir, who's kind of more of an antagonistic character, was so nuanced. Halvane. There were so many aspects of this story, and I gave it a 4.5. And from Cold Ashes Risen, I say that was more of a 4.75. So I do slightly, like, in a out of 5 rating, I would put From Cold Ashes Risen a little bit higher because there's just a few things in Mercy that I thought he could tweak and make better before book 2. But I have to admit, I am constantly thinking about these characters well after finishing book 1. It's one of the worlds that is calling back to me the most right now, probably because of the nature of the ending. I don't want to get into spoilers because the book's not even close to being out, but I have recorded a video. I'm going to put it somewhere on the screen and link it. I've already recorded it, haven't put it out yet. I'll probably put it out prior, maybe even after this video, I'm not sure. But I will put the thumbnail somewhere on this screen. But this world just keeps calling back to me. I think that the story is so nuanced. I think the world, you can tell that a lot of heart and a lot of love went into this book. And I will be giving it a dedicated review if I have not already. I mean, I already know I filmed it and edited it. I just might put this one out first because as I'm filming this, it's May 1st. And it's got to get, this wrap-up TBR video's got to get out. But if this is such an amazing debut, is it my fourth favorite read of the month? Because I also read Prophet of Edan by Philip Chase. And this blew, I already loved Way of Edan, but Prophet of Edan's better. I mean, it's better. I just enjoy Prophet of Edan so much. It really felt like a concluding book in a trilogy, but there's just a few plot points left open. And I hear from a lot of people that Return to Edan is even better. I loved Way of Edan. I thought Way of Edan was 5 stars. Prophet of Edan, 5 stars. And Return to Edan will probably be 5 stars. We won't know until I get to it, which may not be for a little bit. And I will discuss that here in a minute after I'm done with my rankings. And this will be a controversial one because most people would be surprised that this could be in any list and not be number 1. But my number 2 has to go to Howling Dark by Christopher Rocchio. This book was amazing, man. This book was absolutely amazing. It was such a step up from book 1, which I already thoroughly enjoyed. But Howling Dark took everything great about Empire of Silence, cut out all the negatives about it. It almost felt like this was book 1 in the series, and Empire of Silence was a prequel origin story for Hadrian. Actually, I'll put the thumbnail up and I will link the video below, but I did a superior sequels video where I discussed both of these novels and how they were great step ups from the debut of the series, how they were just so much better than their book 1s. And I still stand by that. I think these are superior sequels, and I thought that they were a joy to read. I love following the story of Hadrian Marlowe, and the character of Karn Sagara in this book was absolutely horrifying, thought-provoking, and just a joy to read about. All right, and my number 1 pick, and I will never get tired of singing this woman's praises, it is going to be Master of Whitestorm by Janie Wirtz. I also filmed a video review of this one. I have not yet put it up, but I will probably put the thumbnail somewhere on the screen, and it will be coming shortly. This review has already been filmed. It hasn't been edited, but in that review, I talk about how I think Corandir is exactly what I was hoping Geralt of Rivia would be. It's like she took the cliche of the sword and sorcery protagonist, the mercenary, the guy who does impossible jobs, and deconstructed that cliche, that trope, and made it into something so much more powerful. With the character of Corandir, we get a deep examination of compassion and empathy, almost to a detriment, almost to the point where he is incapable of not feeling the pain of others. And it is such a powerful story. If you're a fan of Malazan and its themes of compassion and empathy, you need to read this tale of Corandir, of Haldith, of Ithariel. Every single character in this book I thought was on their A game, but those three main characters, I thought all of their journeys were so powerful. It is a gut-wrenching, heartbreaking story, but it is so worth the ride, and I do not think this book gets enough love. Master of Whitestorm is so freaking good, man. Like, I don't want to say it's my favorite Janie Wirtz book because Curse of the Mistwraith launched me on this big, long journey, and I love the world of Ithera, and I also really love The Gallant. It's probably my favorite novella I've ever read. But man, this is just a complete story, and it is one of my favorite standalones in fantasy fiction. It absolutely blew me away, and I definitely think you guys should check out Master of Whitestorm if you have not already. All right, and before I get into what I'm reading in May, I want to touch up on why this may be a slower reading month, what I have in the works, what I'm working on. And first off, I need to mention that I am alpha reading a friend of mine's book. I'm actually not going to show you what it is. I was about to, but I actually don't know if I'm allowed to do that. So I'm alpha reading a friend of mine's book. Haven't started that yet, but it's definitely going to eat into my time. But my number one priority, number one, tippity top, is one of my favorite authors ever reached out to me to do an audio project, and I have been hard at work on that. I don't want to disclose who or what it is, but I have been diligently working on that. I really want to make strides towards finishing that audiobook and getting it the best it possibly can be. There will be more announcements in the future on that front. I didn't realize how time consuming it would be, and I'm absolutely loving the process, but it will eat into some of my other reading time. So I'm accounting for a good portion of my time to be that in May. And then also, I feel like a lot of YouTubers have made this announcement recently, a lot of booktubers. Mine is far from being done, but I recently finished a manuscript for my first novel. Don't really have any details on it. It is a kind of, I'd say horror, but I'm not really. It's not grimdark. It is a kind of thriller, epic fantasy. The story kind of follows different characters as there is this plot to assassinate an emperor, and I can't really disclose more than that. I don't really have an elevator pitch yet, but the entire novel takes place over the course of one night. There is necromancy involved. There are large swaths of the story that cover our main character's backstories. So it's a 151,000 word manuscript at the moment of recording this right now, but a big portion of that is flashback sections. I kind of was trying to emulate Lies of Locke Lamora in that there is an interesting story to be told in the past, as well as what's being told in the future, or what's being told in the modern day. Also was inspired by Rockio to be like, you can know the ending of a storyline and still make it incredibly captivating to read. Not saying I accomplished that, but that was the goal in mind. But anyway, so the audiobook, number one, top tippity top priority. Number 2 is going to be alpha reading for my friend. And then number 3 is going to be tweaking and working on my edits. I'm currently on chapter 2 of about 50 chapters. But first part of my book is seeing a lot of rewrites because I was still learning the character voice as I was writing. So a lot of that's going to need tweaking. And I know that one's a marathon, not a sprint. And the audiobook thing is honestly like, it's such a joy. And I really feel like I have a voice in that field. You know, the writing is more just so fun. I don't know if I'm really cut out to be a writer, but I do enjoy doing it. The audio stuff, I actually think I have a talent there, and I want to pursue that, and I am having a lot of fun doing it. But anyway, enough about me, done being vain, and I'm going to talk about my reading plans for the month of May. First is that alpha reading thing that I am not entirely sure I'm able to disclose, but I will also be continuing Ships of Merior by Janny Wirtz, the genius, the goat. I'm about a third of the way in. Absolutely loving this one so far. Everything I loved about Curse of the Mistwraith is back and better than ever. And just an absolute joy to read this and be back with Arathon and Dakar and everyone from book one. Then I'm going right into Warhost of Vastmark. Jake from Nerd Level Rising has been talking to me. Well, we've messaged each other a few times, and he's advised that it is highly recommended to go straight from ships right into Warhost. So that's what I'll do. So as part of a read-along, my friend David from Four Corners of the Page and Preacher from Preacher Reads. Wait, I was about to say his actual name, but I'm not sure if that was like a just us in the group chat mention thing or like something I could say on. It's been kind of a running joke between me and David that he doesn't know Preacher's first name, which I think is hilarious. But we both know it now, but I'm not sure if I'm... Anyway, we're reading Malazan together. We're reading Gardens of the Moon. It is David's fourth reread. It is David's fourth read through. My second read-through, aka first reread, and Preacher's first read. And at the time of recording, I'm pretty sure Preacher just started the prologue. I was supposed to read the prologue today. I mapped it out. I was going to read a chapter a day and take it light on May 1st, which is today as I'm recording. And I was going to read the prologue, but it is now almost midnight, and I'm not going to do that. I'm actually really tired. The second I'm done recording, I'm done. And then this is a rollover from last month, and I mentioned it last, but it is one of my top priorities from this month because this world has been calling back to me since I finished book one. The author is both a genius writer and also a just awesome human being. And I'm talking about Bold Ascension, book 2 in the Sundered Nation trilogy by Von Roycroft. Look at that awesome cover by John David Giovanni. You know, this was on the list last month. And actually, looking at it now, all three of these are rollovers from last month because I've been working on that audiobook and edits and other stuff that I don't want to disclose yet. But yeah, these are all rollovers from the month of April. But these are the only 4 physical books I'm reading aside from the Alpha Reading Project. I'm reading 2 more books. They're going to be audiobooks. Yeah, just those 4 physicals, the Alpha book. I said I'm going to take it slow to work on other stuff, but it's not feeling slow anymore. And I'm going to read Ghost Story. I'm actually about 20% into it right now. Really loving it. Enjoying being back with the Dresden world with that gang. And then I'm going to read Sins of the Mother, book 4 in the War Eternal. I really want to wrap this series up to make room for some more series. I've got some read-alongs coming up on the channel and some read-alongs with a personal friend of mine from the Air Force. We're going to read John Gwen. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff coming up, so I need to kind of clear the space. And part of that is finishing both of these series that I've been, making my way through on audio. And yeah. Anyway, let me know what y'all are reading, what you read last month, what your TBR is this month. If you've read any of these books, what did you think? And yeah, peace. Whatever. It's 2 chapters. Right now, chapter 2 is kind of long.